what's up everybody? Okay, welcome back to my channel. So today we've got a special segment. We're gonna do some yoga. So for many of us that are stuck at home or not, either way our lives are busy and we could get tight and we get sore muscles. So I've got my bestie Brittany here. She is awesome at yoga. That is not an area that you don't want me teaching yoga. So she's gonna run through some exercises for us that are really quick if you really just want to stretch out and work through sore muscles. So yeah, let's go ahead and get this started. Brittany, tell me a little bit about the type of yoga that you teach.
Okay, so I teach embodiment yoga. It comes from a place where we're learning to befriend our bodies instead of forcing them into postures.
I love it.
It is very joint aware and body friendly. I will show the gentlest versions first and invite you into deeper versions. And just know that you can always modify. With yoga, you want to make sure that you're connecting breath. It's really important. It sounds funny, but in general, if you're losing your breath when you are practicing, it usually means you're doing too intensive a version and moving into pain instead of.
I've had those when you go into a stretch and all of a sudden you're like, then you hold your breath briefly because you're like dying a little bit. That's a sign that you're maybe going a little too far. And actually, it's interesting because one thing you've taught me is that breathing helps to release those muscles. And I felt that. I felt that moment of stop clenching my breath, breathe deep, and then you feel the muscle relax. It's actually quite interesting. That's neat for me, but yeah. Yeah. So
it's just really important to listen to your own body. We all have different abilities. We are all asymmetrical in different ways, and some days we'll be able to go deeper and other days you won't be able to go as deep. So like yoga isn't like once I reach this point, I'm always at this point. In your flexibility, you're going to find that it fluctuates, and that really yoga isn't necessarily about flexibility, it's about mobility. Because
Absolutely.
it can be easy to actually harm yourself by being overly flexible.
I've seen it. Yep, absolutely true. Because the point of this is to help our mobility and to help us be able to function better on a daily basis, not so much to see how flexible we could be, because that's fine too. But
well, you increase your risks of injury.
Yeah.
Because if the muscle is too stretched, it means that it's not stabilizing the way it's meant to.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so let's go through some basic. We're going to work ourselves from the top to the bottom really quickly and go through a few stretches that we could do in our day, just if we're having a really tight muscle area. So let's talk about the most common area. Let's talk about the top of their shoulders and middle of our shoulder blades. That area. Because what do? We're just chill. Okay, I don't normally, but I do catch myself just slouching and you're like, hey, what's going on here, right? Postural muscles, we call them. Back there mostly they get very stretched and weak, and you can feel a lot of muscle spasms back there. And then what happens to the chest muscles is they get tight, and then they also get very inactive. So how do we, between these two areas, what would be a good stretch to do, or a couple of good stretches?
So a couple of good stretches. So if you have shoulder issues, you'll want to start off with a strap instead of doing it without. But taking it or using the strap.
Do you want me to do it? And then
yeah. Okay, you can. Okay, so
I'll be her. I'm gonna say dummy. Okay.
So you can grasp the strap with both hands.
Okay.
And then choosing one direction, you can gently draw the strap one way. It helps to open through the shoulder and helps you to open through the chest. You can also do this one if your shoulders feel safe and you have the mobility. You can actually grasp your wrist and drawing it back and across the body. So remember with this one, you want to keep that neck long and you want to drop that shoulder and roll it back, and to facilitate that opening through the chest, because otherwise you're doing this and it's not stretching the right things.
It's like stretch and relax. Does it help, so if someone's in that stretch, to tip their head over
You can extend the stretch if it's feeling safe in the neck to drop your ear towards your shoulder, giving that more space for the neck to stretch and release.
And that trapezius muscle, super tight up there.
And as I had mentioned, hang on to that full yoga breath. And if you don't know what a full yoga breath is, it is that gentle expansion through the belly, the gentle expansion through the chest, the gentle lift of your collarbones, and then as you exhale, compressing the rib cage, compressing the belly. You're drawing that belly button in towards the spine, which also helps to lift the pelvic floor.
I got this big strap around me now. That's an excellent one. I like that. Felt, ooh, love it, love it.
If you need something gentler, you can also do the ones where you're seated, and you're walking the fingertips away. But remember, you don't want to you're not flexing that arm out. So you want engagement, so that there's length there, but you don't want to flex it. And so you can, like Amy mentioned, you can gently tip and bring that ear towards the shoulder, lengthening. Remembering not to hike the shoulder up. You want it nice, down and long. And you can even play with gently bringing the gaze towards the ceiling and feeling the difference in the muscles that stretches in the neck and in the shoulder.
Well, a lot going on there.
That
felt different. I was like, oh, that's fun.
Yeah, using that inhale to find those areas of discomfort. And using that exhale to invite the body to let go and to release, letting you relax deeper into the posture.
That's good. My shoulder's still loose already. That was tight right there, right? Okay, so we're got this. We're getting our shoulder area, kind of working through the top part. What about the mid part, like anything in the back? My husband actually said to me last night, what would be a good stretch for the lower back? And I was like, well, let me consult with Brittany. No, I was like, I have some ideas, but honestly, people who get lower back pain, it's not just the back. A lot of times it's inactive glute. It's tight hip flexors. It's tight hip extender. It could be one or the other. It could be tight hamstring and overstretched quad. There's a combination of reasons as to why the back. And then obviously the weak core, given that there. So I said to him, let me analyze your posture before I go in and suggest a stretch, because I need to see the whole picture. But overall, let's say you've been doing a lot of house renovations and nice floor. Yeah. So and you're like painting, you're doing stuff, and you're stretched over, and then you stand up, and you're like, we've all done that. Even people with strong core, you lean over for so long, and your back is stretched and frustrated. What would you suggest for a really tight back?
So some that work for tight backs, twisting, because it helps lengthen different sides. So you can come from a few different orientations. If you have knees that are injury prone, you can stay in your crisscross with blocks supporting your knees, but you would extend one arm behind you, and then using your other hand, resting it on the opposite knee. Again, lengthening through those shoulders and gently twisting. And again, remember, I don't want you to refit. This is meant to be a stretch where you're listening to your body and finding depth using your breath instead of manhandling yourself.
I just listened to my body, and I think I gave myself a self-adjustment. Everything cracked when I turned. I don't know what that means.
Oh, it's good.
My body's like, and release.
Yoga actually works as a self-acupressure treatment in many ways within Eastern culture.
So good.
And so you can, and then switching sides.
What you do to one side, you've got to make sure you do to the other. So that is what I'm doing right now.
So depending on how your neck is feeling, your gaze can be straight with your torso, or you can bring your gaze over that back shoulder. Again, it's an option for helping to deepen the stretch.
Yes, that was Love that, love that. Let's move down. Let's get the hip area. Let's work in the hips, because that's part of the lower back. But I don't think most of us realize how tight our hips can be on a very regular basis, and it can hinder our movements and cause injury if they're really, really tight. Please, some hip stretches.
Okay, so one of my favorites for starting, because it's one of the most gentle approaches, is to come into your bound angle. So the soles of your feet are together, and you're gently bringing your heels towards your torso. So you want about a palm's width of distance between your pelvis and your heels. So using your hands, you can gently lift your tushy up to help bring you into an anterior tilt, so that as you grasp your feet or your legs, as you fold forward, that you're helped in that direction. If your hips are feeling really tight, oops, I forgot, you can actually roll a blanket up and set it underneath your bottom. And you're gonna get yourself right to the edge of that blanket and then allow it to help tip you.
That's a really good idea. I do see people, if I'm working with a client, and we get them into something similar like this, with the legs out, and then they go to reach over and I get this, and then I'm like, oh, no, We're gonna work on keeping, we do suggest to look at the pelvis, keep chest up, and if let's say you go to lean over and that's your limitation, like if you go further and you start to hunch, I'm like, then maybe that's as far as you go. You know, we want to refrain from overstretching and hunching in the spine. Neutral.
Yeah, so you want to keep that nice neutral spine. You want the length, and then as you're tipping forward, if you can't maintain that straight line, you've reached your limit. Because if I'm coming here, I'm actually moving the stretch into the ligaments in the lower body, and you don't want you don't want those stretched. They protect you. They keep you safe.
Yeah, they can get very aggravated and they can get inflamed if you overstretch them.
If you need extra support, you can also do this one with a chair.
Loving it.
And so instead of resting towards your feet, you're bringing the lean towards the chair. And that way, again, you're kind of assisted in keeping that spine supported in the way that you need it to be.
I like that. That looks stressful. That's like a thinking position. Thinking hard.
Yeah, well, it's a really beautiful, like, restorative version of the pose, which means you could actually hold it for way longer in that way, and then you would get that really deep release within the hips.
Working down into our legs and hips. Oh, you're wide. Oh, okay.
The wide angled forward
I'm going to face like this. That way we have room. We're going to be set between the leg lengths here, right?
Yeah.
There we go.
So again, if you feel like your hips aren't actually helping or facilitating that forward movement, you can lift.
And you showed me one time in a class, it was like, it's tight day, and I was like, oh, we got a block, and then we put that under the butt. Yeah. And that was really helpful, because then what you're doing is you're adjusting your pelvis. Now the pelvis is now leaning more naturally. We're not forcing as much of a stretch down there. It's still there, but it felt really good. Like I was like,
yeah. So you're on the edge of it. Okay, so most of your weight isn't on it. It's
just on the edge.
Just on the edge of it.
The pelvis.
And so then it's tilting the pelvis, and so you're actually feeling more of the stretch in the legs or in the hips as opposed to in the legs. Mm-hmm. The other thing is, in this posture, you want to make sure you have your joint over joint alignment. So you don't want the toes to tip inward. You don't want them tipping outward. And keeping that knee nice and soft. If you're feeling really tight there, you can actually roll up a towel or blanket and place it underneath the knee.
Overstretching in the knee.
Yeah, as a support. And again, you can use this momentum to walk yourself forward over top. And again, it will help win that low spine. Mm-hmm. And again, keeping that engagement through the core, keeping that nice neutral alignment. You don't want to into it.
Yeah, no hunching into that. So good.
And you can prop yourself in any way that you feel is helpful. You can use a chair, you can use blocks. If you have a yoga bolster, you can drape it across your lap, give it a hug.
Oh, wait, go for it, yeah. All right, we're moving down our legs. We're moving into our legs, I guess. So let's do like the one thing we teach a lot. We've been teaching like, what did I say, 4 years now together?
Yeah, almost 4.
A co-class that is really high intensity. Love it. There's lots of impacts. There's lots of plyometrics, and so we often are getting sore legs, sore calves, our quads, and everything in the lower end is taking a little beating sometimes. A good beating, but a beating nonetheless. So I guess what would be a good stretch? So if we were looking at sore legs, we've been working out pretty heavy, what would you suggest? What's one of your favorites?
Okay, so my favorite is actually legs up the wall.
Legs up the wall. Where are we going?
I'm giving you a bolster.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's
okay,
a fun.
So if you have a bolster, great. You could also use a pillow or a block.
Okay.
So what you would do,
all right,
is you're going to sit sideways.
Right. Am I actually sitting on this?
Yeah, you're sitting on it.
Okay, so you want me to face that way?
Either
For
way.
simplicity. Okay, I'm going this way. Otherwise your feet are into that. Here we go.
Okay, and so then, using your hands, you're going to begin to twist yourself and get your legs up the wall.
As I fall off. Okay, that wasn't very done. I'm moving it. There we go.
And
That
you can
wasn't
scoot
done.
your bum closer.
Okay, I'm getting it. See, I don't teach you this. This is what happens.
So the block, like I said, it is an option if you don't have a bolster.
Okay.
So lifting the hips, you would gently place the block underneath your hips. So this actually makes it so that this stretch isn't as intense.
Oh, I like that.
So if you want more intensity, technically you could move the block and it would be more intense on the spine. Whereas right now it's nice and in the legs. You know, you can hang out here however long you would like.
We're just gonna hang out. We're done. I'm good. Peace out, people. I'm just kidding. Okay.
You can play with some movement here. You can do some scissor-like movements. You can grasp your thigh. If you have extra mobility, you can go for the calf or even the ankle. Or if none of those feel accessible and you have a strap,
Yeah.
you can use the strap to bring your leg towards you. So listening to your own body and recognizing that sometimes one side likes to be held longer than the other before it wants to release.
That's good. What you might find one side tighter than the other, I think that would be pretty common.
Yes, we are very asymmetrical and it's natural for us to have a dominant side.
Absolutely.
So this posture, if you don't have a wall, can also be done just with a strap.
Holding them up. Ooh.
So, and then if you were alternating, the one leg would go towards the floor.
And then up. Okay, I see.
And then up. Or you could bend it if it felt too intense. You can play with that bound angle here. Just a different type of orientation. And you can even do like a reclined figure 4. So you would want to start with the leg straight, bringing or crossing the other one down and allowing that foot to slide down the thigh. You can first play with pushing that leg away.
That's perfect for me. Tight hips. Hip flexor right there.
The other thing you can do to intensify the stretch is to begin to drop the heel.
On your nicely painted wall. It's good my feet are clean.
Yeah.
And flexed, right?
Yes, you want this foot, like you want it engaged. So it doesn't necessarily need to be a full toes or like extended out flex, but like you want engagement. So you don't want it pointed, but you want it engaged so that that knee is protected. The closer you get to your bottom with your heel, you can even play with pushing, using your toes to push your legs towards your chest. This would intensify it. You can also press that thigh away And for us, this one is good with what we teach because it gets into that IT band.
Yeah, I'm deep breathing right now. I braced it for a minute. I literally was like, oh! And I was like, yeah, don't hold your breath. Touching.
Hang on to the breath. So if a posture is ever like pinching or like throbbing or like burning, I would advise you to let go, release, and try a gentler version. It is pretty normal to experience tingles.
Yeah.
Because you're actually holding postures for a long time, and so like those are, in yoga they're called energetic releases. So it'll feel like you have an electric current running, but it's not painful, it's just buzzing.
Not that.
But you don't ever want the pain to be pinching or burning.
Those are good. Love it. Love it. That's good. I feel very
The other one that can be really great, that is both a twist that gets into those hips while also getting into your shoulders and spine.
Oh, here we go.
Is one of our favorites when I teach.
Oh, is this?
And so this is the one. So you're bringing your chest down to the mat.
Remove the bolster out of the way.
And so,
all right,
extend.
See if I can do this the right way.
One of your arms out and away from your body. Your other hand is going to be used as leverage. You're going to kick the heel of that same side towards your buttocks. Using this hand as leverage, you're going to twist yourself up onto the shoulder, allowing that knee to drop, lengthening through the leg, keeping the neck engaged. You don't want to dump your weight into your head. If this feels too intense, you can actually bring the hand closer to your bottom, flipping the hand, and then it isn't as intense. The other thing you can do is, if it's feeling too tight for your leg,
Place the block.
you can place a block under your foot.
Oh yeah. Wait, you do one side, the other the other. Okay. Bend out. This up.
Yep.
Bent. Oh, Lord, that move that block here.
And then rotate over.
All right, here we go. Oh, this side hurts more so.
Yeah, so you can lessen intensity by bringing the hand close to your bottom.
Oh,
So
that's
finding any place in there that feels better. You can play with upping the intensity. So you can also change the sensation by what you're doing with your leg. You can let the knee drop towards the floor, lengthening through that side hip. Or you can play with bringing that knee up, and instead you'll feel it through that inner leg. And you can even play with walking the toes away from the body.
Totally different sensation either way. Woo, that's wicked. I feel very good now. Okay. So those are some really awesome stretches. So again, please take time in your day. You do have it, I know. We all are getting the same amount of hours in a day. It's there. Take time in your day to stretch out, relax, rejuvenate, recover, however you want to put it, and feel better. Be well, right?
Yeah.
Be well.
Connect with your breath, or connect to your breath with your body. Connect with your body. You will just be healthier overall. These practices match really well with mindfulness, which is proven to improve mental health, which is especially important in these trying times.
Absolutely. All right, well, thanks for joining us. I hope that you found this enlightening and helpful. So take care and have a good day.